Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Corner Pod, wherein we talk about all things football. I'm Hari Keshav, and today we are very excited to welcome a man who wears many hats. He is the chairman and founder of an amateur football club in Manchester, UK, named Withington Wanderers, a UEFA C licensed coach, and he has worked with many clubs in the non-league circuit in the UK. Welcome to the pod, Karthik. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. It's an absolute honor to be on. We spoke a little bit off air when I said I used to do YouTube myself, and I always used to try to support any channels that were based in India who used to contact me. So as soon as I saw your message, I thought, you know what, I'll be there.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and carving some time of your busy schedule. It's an absolute honor, as I said, to have you on the pod. For our viewers, Karthik, could you give us a brief introduction on your earliest footballing memories and your journey in football so far?
Earliest footballing memories. So I was born here in the UK,
Okay.
but I did the first few years of my life were in India. So when we first moved over to the UK, I joined my school, and the first memory of football was on my first day at the playtime. All the kids would go, "We're gonna go and play football." I was like, "I don't know what that is. I don't know what am I supposed to do." So then they put me on a team, and then they just decided to start playing. And I went home that day, and I went home crying. And I told my dad, I don't know anything about football. And my dad just went, right, okay, let's just try and watch it on TV. Then at least you'll know what's going on. And that weekend, I think I put on the TV, and on Sky I think it was Man United against Fulham.
Okay.
And I think United won 5-0 that day. And since then, I've been a United fan. So it could have been anyone on that TV that day, and I would have ended up supporting them. It just happened to be Man United, and here we are.
I'm guessing you're also based out in Manchester. I think it was just one of two clubs that you could have ended up supporting, I'm guessing.
Exactly. And luckily, I chose the right side. Right now, it's not.
There is only one right answer for that. So glad that we didn't lose you to the blue side of Manchester. But thanks again, Karthik, for that brilliant introduction. Please follow Karthik and his amateur football club that he's founded, Withington Wanderers socials, to get access to all the content surrounding the club because he has started this club from scratch and it's going to be super exciting to follow his journey, and we would love for it to move forward and go up the football pyramid as well. So please give them all your love and support. In today's episode, we shall briefly discuss a couple of things regarding Karthik's UEFA C coaching license. How did that go about? His insights into non-league football clubs during his time that he spent with a couple of clubs in the non-league circuit, and more importantly, we're going to talk about Withington Wanderers and his vision and where he sees this club go forward. So these are the things that we're going to talk about. Let's dive into the episode quickly. Karthik, you're a fully licensed UFRC coach. Was your aim to always be a footballing coach, or is this an avenue of how you wanted to be associated with the sport in a sense?
To be honest, a career in football was never something I considered. When I was in school and we used to speak about football, I'd always be speaking about the tactical side of the game. And all my friends would just be like, yeah, but that goal was good, wasn't it? And I'd be like, yeah, but there was more to it. And that always stayed in my head. So when I got towards finishing my A levels and stuff when I was in India, and it was time to decide what I wanted to do, I told my parents that I found this university called UCFB, which is where I did my football coaching degree, and the requirements in terms of grades weren't that high. So they said, okay, you can have it in as an option, but make sure you have some other options in there. So I put in my business studies and all that stuff. That's what I was going to go into. And luckily enough, I didn't get the grades to get into the business studies course. And the only thing I could get into was the football course. So it became an easier conversation. But honestly, when I got to that age, I thought, my head has all the tactical aspects. I'd love to explore that, and I'd love to see what I could do with that. And coaching was the avenue that was the most obvious way to use that element, other than maybe doing YouTube or becoming a pundit. So coaching was the way I went into, and then I obviously went to uni, and then from there it became, let's go and find opportunities to go and coach football. And from there we've just gone up.
So business's loss was football's gain, you could say. Karthik, brilliant. For our viewers watching, how can one get into football coaching through the UEFA modules? I know that you've coached some amateur football clubs as well, so it would be great to provide your insights on that. But from a more rigorous standpoint, like on a UEFA module point of view, what are the various levels that are there, and how long does it entail in order to become a fully licensed UEFA coach? If you could
Yeah, so
share some.
anyone can get into coaching. If you're in the UK, that starts off at the FA level 1, or it might be called the Playmaker course now. That's your entry level. It's for like dads who have their son in a team and they want to know how to help them and maybe they have to take over the team. After you've done your level one becomes the what used to be called the level two, it's now called the UEFA C. That sort of elevates it a little bit. It starts going into a little bit more detail about how you plan your sessions, how you design them to get the best out of your players, and then from there, you're going UEFA B, UEFA A, and then your pro license. Now, I've been waiting to get on the UEFA B for quite a while now because there's so much interest in the UK and it's also very expensive.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I'd warn people about if you're going into the UEFA module, especially in the UK. It's very expensive to get in. At the minute, you're looking at around £850 to £1,000 to get onto the UEFA B alone. And then obviously, as you go up, it's even more. And of course, at each stage, there are different requirements. So to get on the UEFA B, you need to be working with an 11v11 age group. So that's anything from 13s and above. For UEFA A, you need to be in a professional club. So there's these different stages you need to get to. However, in other countries, these courses are much easier to get on. So,
Mhm.
for example, if I was to fly out to Germany, I could probably get on the UEFA B. But then comes the challenge of learning the language and getting the accommodation to do those courses. And there's different requirements. So the UEFA B, there's a lot of project stuff that you have to do about your players and things like that. However, I wouldn't say the UEFA course is the only way to get into coaching. Obviously, there's stuff in India that you can do through the federation there. Whether it's transferable, I'm not too sure.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that even if you do your courses in India, if you come into Europe, you have to do it with UEFA. But obviously, not everyone that watches this video is going to be able to travel to the UK and do these courses. Absolutely, go look at your local football federations, local football associations, and see what courses are on offer, what's there, and go and explore that. But anyone can get into coaching. I wouldn't say you need to have that knowledge beforehand. As long as you have a passion for player development, passion for the game to learn it, anyone can get into coaching.
Brilliant. That is a wealth of insights into coaching, and the passion is there for everyone to see. So, viewers watching it, I'm sure, would have taken a whole lot on board. So, thank you so much for that, Karthik. You also spent a lot of time in the coaching circuit and trying to coach amateur football clubs and non league football clubs as well. So, your experience coaching these non league and amateur football clubs for our viewers, because you have some really good names. You have Stratford Paddock FC, which you were a part of, and then more visibly you were also a part of Macclesfield, who are now part of the, I think, the Northern Premiership, if I'm not wrong. So it would be great to hear your experience.
Yeah, so when I got into uni, my first thoughts were where can I go and coach football in Manchester? So I joined this amateur football club called Poynton Junior Football Club. That is where most of my experience has come. I was there from the under 16s up to the development squad, which is where I'd say that development squad is probably the highlight of my coaching career so far because I took a bunch of players who weren't good enough to get to the first team, wanted to be in the first team, and I turned them into a team that were operating at the level of the first team. So much to the fact that when they were getting calls up to the first team, they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay in the development team. There was that experience. Then I had my first time coaching a first team in Flixton Juniors. I say juniors because the club is primarily focused around juniors, but this was a
Mhm.
men's first team. That experience didn't go so well, purely because the culture that was already there and the culture I wanted to implement, there was a bit of a clash. And then in between those two was, of course, Stretford Paddock FC. And those of you who are United fans obviously will have heard of them, their YouTube content, and you might be aware that they have their own football team. I was there when the club first started, so I was there with Stephen Howson. I helped set that up. I was part of their club for the first season. If you were to go and look at those documentaries, I'll be there somewhere. And once I left Stretford Paddock FC was when I returned to Poynton for the development squad. So it was that turning point where I said, okay, I need to start doing things on my own now. So then, after my experience at Flixton, I ended up at Macclesfield. And the switch was the age group. So obviously, I'd just gone from coaching 16s and up, and
Mhm.
Macclesfield approached me to coach their under 12s.
Wow.
And for me, straight away, I was like, whoa, I've not done that before. I've not coached kids before. I've just been
Yeah.
coaching men. Can I make that transfer to that age group? And the rationale in my head was you're going from a grassroots team, amateur football club, into a semi professional football club with a junior academy. This is a no brainer. You have to go. So I went and did that. I stayed there for just over a year and a half. I recently left the club and I worked with under 12s, under 11s, and under 13s. So I was really getting that experience at the younger age group. So one piece of advice for me would be to any coaches don't be afraid to drop an age group because some might see that as a step backwards, but actually for me, it was a step forwards because before I joined Macclesfield, I was a little bit more, what do you say? I wasn't as level minded, whereas when you're with kids, you have to have that calmness and really show what the behaviors are. It actually made me a better coach. And at Macclesfield, obviously, you're in that semi professional environment. The club was pushing to get promotion to the National League. We're training at the stadium. So that environment was really there for me to go and challenge myself. And I really enjoyed that. Just before I left the club, I was thinking, what can I do to challenge myself even more? Because while I was in that age group, I was thinking, yeah, I'm developing, but I missed that management. My brain is fine tuned to the tactical side of the game, managing people. And I was like, how can I get back into that adult level football? And unfortunately for me, Macclesfield weren't giving me the opportunity to go up the age group. So I decided I was bored of waiting for the right opportunity because I'd had Poynton, I'd had Stretford Paddock, I'd had Flixton, that all didn't work out. And I said, I'm tired of waiting for the right opportunity. I'm tired of going to clubs where necessarily the environment isn't what I want it to be. So I'll go and make my own. I'll just go and start my own club. It'll be my environment. I'll make the decisions. I'll hire the people I want, and I'll have full control, and we'll just go for it. And it was a scary decision, but I did it, and here we are.
Brilliant. Just the some of the names in your CV and your courage to try out and transition to a lower age group in order to hone your skills, that I'm sure will stand you in good stead. And that's a brilliant segue, because now we've finished with Macclesfield and now you're starting on your own, an amateur football club, starting it out in Manchester as well. How would you describe this football culture at Withington? Because I'm guessing it's like a suburb which is just 12 minutes away from Old Trafford. So I'm guessing it's entrenched in a lot of football history as well. So, how is the football culture? And also, how did this vision to start the amateur football club come about?
In terms of the vision, obviously, as I just said, I was tired of waiting for the right opportunity, the right environment to present itself, and I thought I'll go and create my own. And the vision was really, I still want to go up through the football pyramid. I could still be willing to do those extra roles. So if a role came up that was on a different day, so for example, my club will play on a Saturday. If there was something that came up on a Sunday, maybe I'd consider it. And my ambition is still to get into an academy at the professional level. But the reason I started my own club was because I missed managing those adults. And I have a strong belief that I know what I want in a club. I know how I want to see it grow. I know how I want the culture to be. And instead of waiting for a club to allow me to come in and do that with them, I thought, why not start something myself and try and implement that myself? Now, admittedly, I know that I will make mistakes. I know that things will not go right. But this is my project. This is for me to test my ideas, to, try different methods of doing things. And then when I eventually go to another club, I'll be ready to know what parts of my toolkit that I need to take out. In terms of the vision, obviously, we're a brand new team. We don't have a big financial backing. Of course, we are kindly and very proudly sponsored by Holland Pickles, who have invested a heavy amount of money into our club to get us going, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But of course, we're not as blessed as other clubs. We're not as Stretford Paddock FC, for example, who have the YouTube channel that gives them a lot of income that they can then push back into this. We're standing on our own. We charge players to play, which is the model in grassroots. And we have to, first and foremost, make sure that we're covering costs. So that is year one. Year one is, can we get through a season? Can we play the number of games we need to? Can we pay for the venue? Can we keep going on our own? That is my objective for year one. Year two will be, can we now go and compete at a good level? Now, don't get me wrong. In year one, if we can go and compete, we will compete. And the kind of players that are contacting me to come and play for the club are a pretty good level. But year two is the original plan of, right, now is when we go and step up the performance on the pitch. And step three, in year three, the plan is, can we go and get promoted? We are applying to the Lancashire and Cheshire League. We're currently in the application process. That league is a feeder to the Manchester League and the Cheshire League, which
Brilliant.
is then a feeder into the Northwest Counties League, which is when you get into semi-professional level and you also enter the FA Cup. So what I would love to do is get to the Northwest Counties, but there's a lot of things that need to happen to get there. You need to upgrade your facilities. At some level, you need a stand. You need to have at least one stand with a minimum number of seats to be able to then go up. Many people will be aware of this journey because you've seen teams like Hashtag United, you've seen Stretford Paddock, you've seen The most famous will probably be Dorking Wanderers. If you've not heard of them, go give them a watch. They're fantastic. So that journey is going to be long, and who knows whether I'll still be the manager at that point. Maybe I'll find someone better to come and take over. But I'd love to be that person who takes us all the way up through those levels. Now, it's going to be a long journey. Some of the players that we get today might not be there at the end of that journey. Some of them might be there at the end of that journey. But what I want to see is us have an ambition to go up this footballing pyramid, and that's the main objective. However, the reason that I chose this area of Manchester in Withington is because, of course, Manchester is a very footballing city, but the area of Withington is surrounded by the student areas of the city, young professionals, so not people with a lot of money, people that are trying to get a lot of money, and the surrounding areas aren't very socially, economically thriving areas. So I wanted to make a mission to make sure that we are one of the most affordable teams in the area, which means we're trying to lower the amount of money that a player has to pay to stay in the club. So the monthly subscription is going to be as low as we can possibly get it to. Hence why we're doing, sponsors. Hence why I'm on this channel here today to try and boost our followers to, get more sponsors on board. So audience who's watching, by following us and listening to what you said at the start of the video, you're actually helping this club grow. You're doing your part. So there's that. So I wanted to combine making football affordable, making football accessible, but also don't sacrifice the standards. Because at the minute, you can go to a club where it's cheap, but it's not at a level where you can actually go and compete. Or you can go to a club with high ambitions, but it's very expensive to go and join. And I've seen both of those situations. And I wanted to make sure there's a little bit of a mix. And that is essentially our mission statement of the club. But however, not just being cheap, but also can we go up the leagues and join the football pyramid? My dream as a coach is to one day coach in the FA Cup at any level, whether that's a qualifier or anything. So if we can get to that level, I've done something right.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for that. We've had some people describe what they're doing, but then there's it's not been as inspirational as what you said to start a club on your own. I'm sure all of this experience, because you're not just going to learn about your players and how to coach players, but you're going to learn about the operations side of it. What would it take to start a football club from scratch? So just all the best to you and viewers watching. As I always say, we are here to not just talk about football, but to elevate people from all walks of football to achieve their dreams, to come and talk about various aspects of football. Also, coming from an Indian ethnicity as well, to start a football club in Manchester, it's a moment of big pride for all of us, and we can't wait to see where Withington Wanderers go. And we'd love to have you on the channel every once in a while, Karthik, to provide us some update, because we will do as much as possible to promote your content. But more importantly, we would like to get an update from time to see where you guys are in your journey as well.
Of course, yeah, we'll definitely do that. And it's funny that you mentioned the Indian ethnicity thing. That is what part of the thing that drives me, because as far as I know, there's no Indian managers, there's no Indian coaches at a high level anyway. We're starting to see some Indian footballers come in. We discussed off air about Yoganathan at Barnsley. People like him are giving us a chance to get on the map a little bit. And I want to be that next one. I want to be, if someone does it before me, then great. But I want to be the first Indian origin manager at Premier League level or any professional level, just so that people back home can have a look and be like, it is possible. Because right now, if you tell your parents in India that you want to be a football coach, they'll be like, you can't do that. There's no one that's done that. So what people need is an example. People need to see that. So whether that's me being a manager at another club in the professional game, or whether that's me as a manager bringing my own team through the leagues, I want to be some kind of an example for that. And having loyal followers and people that are supporting the club already without us even having kicked the ball is very overwhelming to me. But it also tells me that I, as a person, am doing something right, and the club is doing something right. And hopefully, whoever's watching this video will go and support us as a team. Of course, I can't tell you to come and watch us, because I assume most of your audience is from India. However, if any of you end up in the UK, please let me know and come and watch us. But we'll be putting content on our socials anyway, so you'll be able to see what we're doing, how we're doing it. And stay tuned. You're jumping in at the start of the journey, so you'll be able to tell people that you were here at the very start.
Brilliant, Karthik. You're never afraid to dream, and we as a community are just going to hope that you're going to break every glass ceiling that is out there. And I'm sure you'll be an excellent role model for not just an Indian, but a South Asian who is there to lead by example and to say that this is possible. To make it up here as a coach, as a manager, as a chairman, probably of a club. Sitting across you and listening to all that you had to say just gave me goosebumps. We can't wait to see where you go, Karthik, and I'm sure we'll all be there to support you in your journey. So that is all we have for this episode. Thank you so much, Karthik, for joining us on the pod. It has been absolutely lovely having you with us, and we're very grateful for sharing your thoughts as well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being given an opportunity to talk about the club. And like I said, I hope we've gained some new fans from afar. Just by going and hitting that follow button on our socials, you're going to help us get some sponsors, which helps us get money for the club. And just by hitting that one follow button, you probably help the club grow a little bit. So absolutely go and do that. And thank you very much.
As always, please do like, share, and subscribe to our content on Football Corner Pod. Your love and support has been par excellence, and it allows us to bring on guests such as Karthik and other people from all walks of football as well, in order to hear their experience and their journeys as well. So keep the support coming, guys. And we'll be back soon with another episode. So until then, take care, be safe, and be aware of any corners taken quickly. See you guys. Bye.